Just because you're a high achiever does not mean you're a high performer. What do I mean by that? I had a call recently with a guy, creative director of a company, third company on the way, lots of money in crypto, definitely a millionaire by all means. So on the outside, you might say he's a high achiever. However, he is not a high performer. Why do I say that? He's 30 kilos overweight, he's taking blood pressure medication in his mid-30s, okay? That is not high performance in my eyes. On the flip side, I recently coached a guy, he's age 60, had the humility first of all to start strength training for the first time in his 60s. He runs marathons, he does half Ironmans. That guy is a high performer and a high achiever. So if you want to implement some high performance habits in your fitness, I'm going to speak about 4 and one bonus one at the end. Starting out with number 1, and that is sleep is the foundation. If your sleep is off, you're not going to want to train, you're not going to want to eat well, and everything just has a negative compounding effect in the day. So what are some good sleep habits that you can implement? Starting out with number 1, and that is stop eating 3 hours before bed. Most of the junk food you're eating at night happens after 7 o'clock. So whatever time you go to bed at, take away 3, and that is your hard cut-off time. What we teach our clients is the 10-3-2-1-0 rule. 10 hours before bed, stop drinking coffee. 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking so you're not getting up in the middle of the night. And then 1 hour before bed, stop working, and 0 snooze buttons in the morning. Now, one of the most important things with sleep is just regularity. So try to get up and go to bed at the same time, within an hour of each other, 7 days a week. Now, on to one of the most important ones, and that is nutrition. Going back to that guy, it's like, I'm not really sure what foods I should be eating. You probably do know that it's not a good idea to have the donut. You probably know there's a better option than having like a ham sandwich for lunch. So with nutrition, 3 important principles we coach our clients on. It's not rocket science, keep it very, very simple. They are whole foods, protein, and caloric intake. What do I mean by that? If you eat mostly single ingredient whole foods, in other words, an apple is just an apple, okay? 90% of your calories come from those. Everything else becomes easier. On that though, if you've then 40 grams of protein per meal, 2 grams per kilo body weight a day, and you eat the right caloric intake, that is the most important thing. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Which is why when people say, I don't want to count my calories, I'm like, you obviously don't care about your fitness goal. Because if you're over consuming calories, you are not going to lose belly fat. It does not mean you need to be obsessive, but I do think everyone should count calories for at least 30 days. And one of the easiest ways is just to use my 3x3 nutrition method. Basically, you have 3 different breakfast, lunch and dinners that you can pick and choose from. And every meal must have roughly 40 grams of protein, give you some fiber, and be between 400 to 500 calories. And if you know roughly the caloric and macronutrient intake of those 3 meals, you can just swap and rinse and repeat them on a daily basis. So don't overcomplicate it, eat more whole foods, have more protein, and make sure you're eating the right amount of calories. Bonus then is just hydration, clear pee by noon. That is the goal, okay? You want to make sure you're well hydrated throughout the day. What we usually recommend our clients to do is have 30 to 50 mils per kilo of body weight, and that's usually enough to keep you hydrated. Now, pillar number 3, what am I doing at the moment? I'm walking, I'm exercising. The first principle with exercise is walk and move often, okay? I don't care who you are. It's even if you get after it every day, it's not enough just to go to the gym for an hour. I used to think this way. Go to the gym for the hour, absolutely crush myself, and just lay in the couch then for the rest of the day. That is not how it works. If you listen to any of the longevity experts, they all say the same thing: success leaves clues. Having a diet predominantly rich in whole foods and just move often. So I'm doing work at the moment, but I'm also getting my steps in. If you're a business owner and you've got lots of calls, you can take those calls when you're on the go. You can invest in a treadmill desk, okay? There's lots of ways you can skin the cat. You can go for a 5 or 10 minute walk after every single meal. But just constantly make the effort to move more. And targets are, look, at least 8,000 steps a day. That in my eyes is just being human. Okay, 10K is good, and if you really want to lead fat loss, 15K steps. So if I'm ever doing a hard cut, I will get 15K steps in, and my body composition, my body fat, my belly fat, it starts to shift quite quick. So walking is the foundation, but we're not just after weight loss, we're after fat loss. I see it time and time again, okay? Men say, okay, I want to lose the belly fat, so they do lots of cardio, they do lots of running, they do lots of biking, whatever it might be. I'm not one of these coaches that say you should never do cardio. In fact, I'm a big believer you should never get all your activity from one form of exercise. But with that being said, you don't want to become skinny fat where you've got skinny arms and higher than normal amount of body fat from just doing cardio, which is why strength training is the foundation. And just like nutrition, don't overcomplicate strength training, okay? Just do mostly compound lifts, okay? 6 to 10 exercises per session and use metabolic supersets. Yesterday, I did a session with 34 working sets and I got it done in 1 hour and 5 minutes. I simply supersetted opposite muscle groups together. It's one of the most efficient and effective ways for working professionals to get a lot of work done in a small amount of time. So what do I mean by that? You compare a chest exercise with a back exercise. So for example, you do an incline dumbbell press, then you do an incline dumbbell barbell row. You can pair a quad with a hamstring exercise. You do a leg curl with a leg extension. You can pair a bicep with a tricep exercise. There's so many ways to do it, and basically the idea is as one muscle rests, the other one works, and the opposite then. And then cardio, the best form of cardio is the one that you enjoy, that usually gets your heart rate around 60 to 70% to your max. So typically what I recommend is strength to cardio ratio, anywhere from 2 to 1 to 3 to 1 if your goal is body composition. So for example, if you're training 4 hours or 4 days a week, we'll say that could be 3 days strength and 1 day cardio. Most important thing with strength training is just progressive overload. If you lift the same, you're going to look the same. So you have to actively pursue training hard. Doesn't mean you got to annihilate yourself, but you do got to push yourself, because in order to build muscle, you need a stimulus to get a response. And then pillar number 4, of course, is just data optimization. Just like you track your profit and loss in the business, okay, you gotta track and optimize the data. What do I mean by that? Weigh yourself every single morning. I promise you, where focus goes, energy flows. One guy I was coaching, he weighed himself and he was like 95 kilos. Didn't weigh himself again for like 6 months, and he went up to 105. That would not have happened if he weighed himself every single morning. And people are like, oh, that's obsessive. In my eyes, it's actually the opposite, because you will develop a better relationship with the scale when you never get too high or too low with drops or increases. Because that kilo you gain, because that pound you gained this morning might be because you ate a meal too late last night, might be because you're feeling stressed, okay? So weigh yourself every day. And then it's not just about weight loss though, as we said, it's about fat loss. How do you measure fat loss? You can get a DEXA scan, but honestly, just take progress pictures every week. And then other things are just like log your food. Do it for at least 30 days, you'll be surprised. Like that cappuccino that you get in Starbucks is 300 calories, okay? Those 3 biscuits you have before bed, 300 calories. That's already 600 calories you haven't accounted for. And of course, just log your weights in the gym so you're working towards progressive overload. And bonuses, get your bloods checked, but honestly, I don't recommend going to the local GP. When I first got mine done, they didn't even test for my testosterone. So if you want a proper blood test, it's actually something we offer in Mac Lifestyle Fitness. We test 93 markers, and we've got a medical doctor in our team. She is amazing, and she will go through your blood results with you. But regardless, the blood work, the data is important. I recommend getting it done at least every 6 months. And what's the bonus one at the end? I said it's consistency. I see it all the time with guys. You're in a good routine until the business event comes up, until you've got a family holiday, until you've got a hard deadline at work, which is just a busier season for you, and your fitness goes from a 10 to a 0. And then all the time you're in this constant never-ending loop of saying you're going to start next Monday. Fitness is an infinite game. In other words, you never win the game of fitness, and the goal of this game is to keep on playing. It doesn't mean you need to be 10 out of 10 perfect, but you have to get out of that all or nothing mindset. I see it all the time. It's like guys say, when I do it, I need to be 100%. That is not the truth, okay? You're never going to be 100%. Business, work, life, it always gets busy. Those who are most successful find a way to dance even in the rain. And that can mean sometime in some seasons, the dial might go from an 8 out of 10 to like a 5 out of 10. But honestly, even just getting steps in, getting movement in, 3 to 4 workouts a week, whole food diet, it's not that complicated. The hard thing is just being consistent. So start implementing these steps today. Focus on your sleep. That is going to be the foundation. Eat more whole foods, eat more protein, count your calories for at least 30 days. Just commit to going to the gym 3 days a week. Get 1 hour cardio in and stay consistent. And when you do that, you will start noticing changes in your energy, in your confidence, in your mood in as little as 7 days, all right? That is all for this video. That is all for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you hit the subscribe. If you want a sample for Metabolic Prime and Diet, just message me on Instagram, Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness. Just message me Metabolic Prime on YouTube and I'll send you over a free copy. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below, let me know which habits you're going to implement, and we'll see you in the next one.